Which part do you think you did the best on? Jamie? No, some of you did, but not everybody. The part in general, overall, you did the best on was the textbook content. I think that reflects what kind of test you're used to taking in Taiwan. You're used to taking tests on content from the textbook, remembering it, and giving answers back. So in fact, most of you, not all of you, some of you need to work on it. Most of you did quite well on the content part of the test. And I told you a lot of the questions. I said, 注意啊，考试会有这个题目啊, right? 是真的有，对不对？是真的有. So if you marked it, you probably were well prepared. But in any case, I think in Taiwan in general, probably in East Asia in general, students are used to learning content from a textbook and then giving back answers on the test. So overall, in that part, you did quite well. Some of you got a perfect score in the pinyin. Some of you got a perfect score. Some of you are former students and you did not do very well. 以前上过我的大一英文，我们学过拼音，可是有些人还是考的那个拼音还是有很多问题。So the pinyin part, some of you did extremely poorly. Some got 100, some got 0. Some got something in between. For the pinyin, you need to review. If you got a score below 80, 你如果不到80分的话，拼音 go over the tutorial again. Put this in your notes. You don't know your score yet. 你的那个拼音的部分的成绩是80以下的话 do the tutorial again. The tutorial, I think, in my opinion, is very good, very effective. Pinyin is not difficult to learn, but you have to pay attention. You have to spend time on it. The tutorial does it step by step. So, if you have a score below 80 on the pinyin, please do the tutorial again and pay attention and remember. 要刻意去记那些东西 Otherwise, 你不能参考那个表的时候，你就会想不起来怎么写 It's almost like 注音符号，有一些不一样，像穷 in 汉语拼音它不是穷，它是穷 EO 分开来的，就类似这样的区别是有 But mostly it follows the same structure as 注音符号 So it should not be difficult for you. In 大一英文 most of the students learned it extremely well. 他们学得非常棒，只是到现在隔了3年有点忘记有些人 Alright, so that is the pinyin part. And then the next part is the IPA transcription. Some of you are doing pretty well. Some of you did very well on the first part, very well on the second part, but you're having trouble on the third part. 那个是听力跟那个 IPA 的问题，主要是在听跟辨认这些音。That is a different skill from the course, from learning content from a textbook. That's why I separate the scores. 我如果这3个成绩综合起来，那个数字会很没有意义，因为有些人非常的好一个部分，另外一个部分就0了，或者20分。So 分开来啊，让你知道你的那个要加强的地方在哪里。Now the textbook part 那就是要读书，就这样子，就是要 study, that's all. 每个人都可以。第二个拼音也是一样 ，master it， 每个人都可以拿到100分 if you pay attention. 第3个部分有点不一样。Because that takes longer. It takes longer to train your ears to get the right sounds. Is that right? 你看别的地方一直都是第1名了，可是至于听力，因为以前可能比较没有那个训练。Again, everybody can learn it, but it's a different skill. 是另外一种技能，所以你要花另外花时间，然后是别种训练，不是背课本就可以学得来的。So for parts 2 and 3. Those of you who would like some help, we now are offering tutors. Those of you who got 85 or better, 你如果是第2跟第3个部分的成绩是85以上，就有资格做 tutor. Now, tutor is extra work. 有什么好处？加分 ，OK? Extra credit. 所以你如果是帮同学做 tutor 的话，然后真的有做，你要回来报告啊！你们2个要跟我们讲，我们是什么时候什么，所以你要做 tutor 的话，2个人都要记，好像记账一样，就是几点到几点几号，然后你帮他什么，几次，这些要记下来。Is that clear? Anybody who wants to participate? So 一定要记那个日期、时间、内容这样子，2个人都要记。Everybody clear on that? 然后呢 ，tutor 的人。可以拿到 extra credit 多少我不定，我是要看期末的成绩，你有帮助，你有多少一些额外可以赚 extra credit 的东西就给你加分 ，OK? So The person who gets the tutoring, you don't get 加分, but you will get a better score in your work. 那是你的 reward. 因为你需要帮助，对不对？你本来是 the buyer, the tutor is the seller. So the buyer is going to get benefits by better understanding and better grades. Everybody clear what's going on? 可以吗? Any questions?
Is there a straw between chocolate K and L?
Good question, and that's really the point of this one every year. We go through this every year. There is no schwa there. I play them several times, there is no schwa. But you learn a schwa in school, right? Is that right? Chocolate is what you learn in school? Yeah. Everybody read page 32. Do it on your own. Okay, we have too many things to do in class now. So phonetics 1, page 32, it's called schwa elision in English. Schwa elision in English. Elision means 省略. It means that this sound goes directly to another sound, leaving out the sound in the middle. There are many words where we usually leave out the schwa. Not always. We can say family, no problem. There are 4 people in my family. Usually we say family in American English. British English and American English sometimes agree, sometimes they're different. On this page, you will see the number of syllables for each variety. 英式、美式我都有写出来。英式呢，我每一个都问过我的英式老师。I asked him. I checked dictionaries and I asked my teacher. 所以英式是有人已经等于是已经订正过。None of it is perfect because this depends on the situation. 这个要不要省略？有一些字是 we almost always omit the So you heard in Peter's and in Bruce's chocolate. Neither one has a schwa. But for some words like family, sometimes we do put a schwa in. So please read over this page very carefully. Everybody write it down. That's an assignment. I will add it on to our syllabus. Page 32, schwa elision. Let me write it down. This one is about pirahan. Pirahan is very, very famous. Anybody know anything about pirahan? The sound is because 波浪号 is a nasal symbol. Write that down. We need this. We're going to be using this a lot in the future. 一个母音或者不音母音，别的音也可以，上面加个波浪号。That means nasalize this sound. So instead of piraha, it's pirahan. Right? And the R happens to be a tap. And for pirahan, you need to know one guy's name. He's very, very famous for doing research on pirahan. Did you hear about him in Ukai? His name is Dan Everett. Dan Everett. Look on Facebook, you'll find him. Dan Everett. He is extremely productive. He's writing a lot of books now, beyond the ones he originally did on pirahan. He lived in Brazil among this very remote tribe. There are only a few hundred people left who speak it. They have refused to be swallowed up by Western civilization in South America, in Brazil. So many of them do not speak Brazilian, Portuguese at all. 他们完全不学葡萄牙语，更不学英语了。So Dan Everett went down there originally. This is an interesting story. I'm going to take a little time to tell it. He went down there originally as a missionary with his wife Karen. And they have, I think, 3 kids. So they were doing mission work here. In order to do mission work among people who do not speak English and don't speak Portuguese, you have to learn the language. So they did a lot of linguistic work on pirahan, which hadn't been studied much before. I think someone had looked at it a bit, but they studied it in great depth. And he published a lot on it. Then part of it is a personal story. You're a 传教士, but what happens when you realize you don't believe in God anymore? Yeah. Amy, you just kind of laughed. What was your feeling? So what? Go ahead. Sorry. Unbelievable. He ended up unbelieving. Right. So can you imagine devoting your life to being a 传教士 for the Christian church, and then you realize you don't believe in God anymore?
How did that happen?
Read it online. Go online. There's lots of information on it. It's been extensively reported in the media. It's not the first time it's happened. I've read about it from many, many people who have started out as a minister. 他开始做牧师 ，OK 把牧师当他的职业，做久了他已经不信神了。 That has happened many, many times. It's not unusual at all. He stopped believing in God. His wife did not stop believing in God. So what happened? Yes. He couldn't even talk to his children for many years because the mother felt that he had betrayed the church. And so it was, he's now remarried, has a new wife, everything's fine now. But it was quite a crisis. Well, anyway, this all came up because of the word pirahan. When you see pirahan, you will think of Dan Everett. 他是最有名的. He's written a lot of research on it. And part of the reason it's so famous is because he challenged Chomsky on something Chomsky said was a very basic trait of human language, and that is recursion. 顺便讲这些，因为你们其实应该知道，这等于是 linguistic common sense. Recursion is nesting. That means putting something inside something else, recursion. So for example, the brother of the girl who I talked to yesterday, 就是 who I talked to yesterday 已经是一种 recursion, 是一种 nesting, 是一个关系代名词子句. He says they don't have those in Pirahan. And also, the sister of my friend. Okay, 这些都不行. They would say something like, I have a sister, my sister has a friend. I want to see the friend. 类似这样子，他没有 recursion. 然后他就为了这个跟 Chomsky 就是很大的决裂. And then it got really hot, because you know what happens when emotions get involved in an argument. So this has been, if you want to look on the internet, you'll find stuff. 两边都还在吵. And then Chomsky 后来他没有说 recursion 其实是人类语言的必备的一个范畴。他后来怎么说? So we won't get into it. That's just background. If you're curious, you can look it up. That's sort of going on. And later on, because of a lot of power struggles and things, people said that, said unkind things about Dan, and he can't go back to Brazil now. Brazil 现在不会让他入境了，所以他没有办法回去继续做他 Pirahan 方面的研究。But he's very productive. He's writing other books as well. Okay? So just a little bit of linguistics, common sense plus 八卦一起. And 八卦 is usually something that really attracts us. So if you want to see some, you'll get a lot in this particular case. Okay? We're going to learn a new word. 先教一个，它会将两个 category 并在一起 because sometimes it's handy. They're called obstruents. 主音 obstruents, voiceless obstruents. Obstruents include stops and fricatives. 就这样子. Stops and fricatives are obstruents. We're not going to finish, so I think we need another day. We will finish on Wednesday. We'll have the test next Monday. In the meantime, though, start previewing chapter 3 because we really need to get started if we're going to finish the first 5 chapters in the first semester. So for Wednesday, I want you to read the page on theremin, on the theremin. You're already reading page 32, which is about schwa elision, right? So go over that page carefully because there's a lot of things that are taught differently in Taiwan from the way native speakers say them. So page 32, schwa elision. In addition, I want you to look at page 18 about the virtual theremin because we're going to be talking, we have been talking about frequency and amplitude. Is that right? So there's a musical instrument. If you weren't on NTU Phonetics last night, a lot of you were up kind of late and still talking, chatting on NTU Phonetics on Facebook. There's an instrument called the theremin, named after a Russian guy who invented it. And you play it without touching it. Have you ever seen an instrument that you can play without touching it? 你不用触摸就可以演奏的一种乐器，有没有看过? Well, this one has 2 antennae, or 2 antennas. One changes the frequency, and the horizontal one changes the amplitude. So if you put your hand here, and you get closer and closer, it'll go woo. And if you put your hand down, when you're at woo, it'll go woo. It gets louder and louder. So you can play music just by waving your hands in the air. And the reason I made a page about this is so that you would become better acquainted with the notions of frequency and amplitude and how we can separate the two and put them together. And there is a very fun piece of software. It's a virtual theremin. You download it, put it on your computer. It's safe, no virus, don't worry, I've tried it. You download it to your computer, and then you can play a theremin on your desktop. Okay, so everybody play around with a virtual theremin. It's a lot of fun. It will help you become more acquainted with the ideas of frequency and amplitude and how you can combine them. So those two pages, page 18 and also page 32. Be ready to perform the performance exercises next time. They're not that difficult, but it's good to prepare. All right, and that's it. If you have questions, let me know. We'll see you Wednesday.